Hello everyone, and welcome to this Visability Film Festival Industry Talks recording. My name's Sam, and I'm the co-director here at the festival. Joining me today, we have Magda Bird. Magda is a scriptwriter who has seen her work commissioned by AMC, ITV2, and Little Island Productions, and was recently shortlisted for Theatre 503's International Playwriting Awards 2020. Magda is also a literary agent's assistant at McFarlane Chard Associates, and very kindly this year was one of our VFF Best Script Award judges.
So, Magda, as a VFF script judge, what was it that you saw in some of the nominees and the eventual winner that really made you think that they stood apart?
I mean, for me, I value highly the kind of like concept, and then it was kind of the attention to detail. So I feel like with a short film, you don't really have that much space. And so if you take one concept and you like explore all of those details, and I'm not saying like have like a chock-a-block plot. The ones that really shone through had a really simple concept that they'd gone into like really finite detail, which was just amazing. Like the winner, she I hope it's a she. I just assumed it was. They had this gorgeous imagery that was running throughout, and it was a really simple plot. It was a kind of self-actualization piece, but the kind of mythical elements that they tied in with the voiceovers and the imagery, they brought out that story and really explored it properly.
Great. So following on from that slightly, so working at a literary agency, what is it that you're looking for from writers who are trying to get representation from you guys that you think maybe sets them apart from some of the other talented writers that you choose not to take on?
I guess it's a two-step process that, because everyone comes into me and then I put different people onto my boss. Yeah, I think for me it's commitment. So commitment on the page. So I want to see. It's not good enough if you've just written a script. Like it's how have you gone beyond that? Because when we're trying to represent you, we want to represent you for life. We want to know that you're committed to putting your best foot forward. You're committed to working hard. You're committed to redrafting. And so if I see on a thing that you've been shortlisted for an award or won that award or been longlisted, or you've made your own short film with your friends, or you're part of scratch nights, or just like a lot of those steps. This is for very beginner writers. Those steps really impress me. Doing courses, MAs and stuff like that. Often they'll be connected to an agent themselves. So I know GCU is the one that's connected to McFarlane Chard, and UEA I think has some connections to another one. But it really, for me, it's commitment. And then for my boss, it's how you turn up in the interview. So if he likes you, he likes you. He obviously likes people who are quite down to earth. He likes people with quite a comic feel to them. Not comic feel, sorry. More like just friendly, and they're not taking themselves, I guess I want to say the word pretentious. He doesn't really vibe with that. It doesn't resonate with him. Yeah, but I think it's really different for different agencies. So I don't really want to speak on behalf of all the literary agencies. Just that's my experiences, commitment, and then
sure,
yeah.
Well, that's really interesting what you're saying about it being almost as much about the person as the writing. That's interesting.
Well, I think it makes sense if you represent them. Imagine like we're selling you. We want to work with you and work with your career for your whole life.
Sure.
You don't like them if they're nasty to work with, or like that. What's the point? There's no. Yeah. So it
makes total sense. So, can you also let us into maybe some of the common or early mistakes that you encounter that possibly show writers up as maybe a little bit amateurish without them even possibly being aware of it?
Yeah, she says, looking at her notes. Yeah, I guess. What do I think? I think characters that are quite underdeveloped. I think often, a big one is when people try and go into cliche, because they feel like that's a safe space. And it's not. Like, we want to hear your perspective. I genuinely believe that everyone is creative, inherently creative. And I think having a confidence in, like, this is my perspective of the world, and going really in detail to those characters, is essential. And I think sometimes people just go for a kind of stereotypical version, and it's all quite shallow, the characters. Yeah, I think having faith in, having confidence in going into detail is important. Yeah, I don't know what else. I think there's quite a few, especially, storylining and structure. Always get someone to do a redraft, like, not as in they do the redraft for you, but like, get a second pair of eyes, hear what they say, actually hear, take it on board. If you don't agree with the notes, that's okay, but why don't you agree with those notes? Which I think is really important. Everything that you see on TV or film has been redrafted like 10 times. And it's a whole crew of script editors looking at it and questioning it. It's got directors questioning it. It's got actors questioning it. It goes through so many. I don't know if I'm making sense. I guess what I mean, writing feels like a blueprint for a house. If you were going to build a house, you've got a blueprint. And that blueprint will change depending on, like, who the client is and whatever. And then as soon as it gets to the directors and the actors, I think that's the builders, and they can build that house how they want. They can follow the blueprint or not.
Oh, fantastic metaphor. Loved it. Building on from that metaphor, if you will, we're going to move on just slightly to a couple of questions about you as a writer, which I'm sure people are just as interested to hear. So, first question. If you could go back in time and steal another writer's original concept for a show or a piece, but just redo it entirely yourself without anyone ever knowing that you weren't the original creator, whose work would you steal, Magda?
I've got a really annoying answer for this, which is,
Okay.
like, Lenny. Just because I think there's a difference between being inspired and stealing, and I don't think I could recreate. I know you gave me an example earlier, which was like recreating Buffy, and I love Buffy. I'm a big Buffy fan. But I think the inspiration that you feel for Buffy, it would be an entirely different script. Even if I was trying to rewrite all of the characters as I would want them, it becomes a different script. So yeah, I guess I'd say none. But that doesn't mean that I've not been inspired by so many different scripts across different formats, across different genres. Yeah. Sorry, that's a real wet answer there.
No problem. No problem. People can answer that one themselves at home. Think about what work you'd like to redraft, even if Magda wouldn't. So, okay, so moving on from that, Magda, so you write across a range of different forms. Just in that introduction, I mentioned obviously your theatre work and TV work, specifically where I introduced you there. Are there any kind of maybe skills or approaches that writing in one medium kind of teaches you that you take into another? For example, obviously, radio is so different to film in terms of it not being, visual. So is there anything that you take from one form that even when you're moving into a different one, you still take those skills with you?
Yeah, I really like playing with form. So I really like the mixing that you can do, and I think there's a big audience now for mixing, and broadcasters feel more confident with that. Fleabag and oh god, what's that brilliant show? May I Just For You? But they play so much with theatrical elements, and they bring that into TV, and I'm not answering the question. I'm saying that I like all.
No, it's really interesting. Carry on.
But I think what they do, where they're blending different forms and different genres. Parasite is a perfect example. Blends so many different genres, and we love it because of that. And I think I think it does impact the other, knowing about those genres and trying them out. So when I first tried out radio, I think it did inherently make me more aware of sound and sound's capabilities. And it is interesting when you work in theatre and theatre, anyone can imagine anything in front of them, and so you want to play with that, but maybe there are certain constrictions as well with the form. So you've got a live audience, which is amazing, but perhaps you can't do special effects. You've got to really incite that image in them. Yeah, I mean, I also go across forms and also do a lot of sciencey stuff. So I'm really big into going into research projects and trying to get climate change narratives out there. Yeah, and I recently did. I recently have been working with the founder of Safe Foundation, Hannah Fitt, who is an absolute love. But we're rewriting her in biographical story, and it's how we literally had it today, where we sat down. And we've been writing out the beat sheets, and it's been going really well. And then we suddenly realised that the story itself might suit TV better, and it's the fact that it came from the story. The story dictated what format it should go into. I'm warbling, and I was going to also do. I was going to do a little pitch. So I do have I have an environmental eco-creative company, and we experiment with climate change facts and script storytelling, and we're branching out into collaborating with others. So I would recommend people check out our website and get in contact if they do have any interest in that.
Cool. I'm sure loads of them will. Great.
I don't know if I've made any sense at all.
Loads of sense. I'm sure everyone will be very interested in the stuff that you had to say, Magda. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to our second Industry Talks recording. That was Magda Bird.